fifth-year senior quarterback. Tank Dell came back because he's a little too small for the NFL, but really one of the better playmakers in the entire country. And they're struggling, and I don't think it is a coincidence that they're only a 2.5-point favorite against Tulane. Green Wave, after that impressive win against Kent State, came in and suffered a 27-24 upset loss against Southern Miss. They shot themselves in the foot in that game, missed a kick. They got something blocked late. They had a pick six that really changed that game late. But I think they're more likely, especially since Willie Fritz is a better coach than Dana Holgerson, to pick up the pieces and start the American Athletic Conference season off right. I think they're a live dog here, but my favorite play is going to be the best bet at the end of the show. But again, for Houston, their safety, Javarius Owens, best player in their secondary, and their left tackle, Patrick Paul, both out. Those are key figures in addition to not losing their top defender, edge rusher Derek Parrish, in that Rice game. So it's a walking wounded. It's a demoralized team. It's a team Dana Holgerson might be quitting on, and if he's quitting on them, they're probably going to quit on him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on Friday night. I do not recommend backing the host Cougars.
Yeah, not exactly what they're used to, I guess, over there, Ralph, in Houston, expecting, I don't know what they expected, really. Clayton Tune is, 38 this month? So at some point he's going to have to get out of college. But what do you think of this Houston Cougars team taking on Tulane?
Well, there's nothing that Tony said that I'm going to disagree, and I'm going to preface this. There's no way I'm betting the Houston Cougars. I'm going to add one more quote from Holgerson. I'm tired of yelling at them. I'm tired of trying to motivate them. If you're worried about motivating an in-city rival against Rice, yeah, you're a big favorite, then you have some issues. So I'm not betting on Houston. The problem is this. Last year, Houston was a 6.5-point favorite in Tulane and handled them easily. That makes them 12.5 if you bring into this year, and they're actually a 2.5-point favorite. Has Houston gone down by 10 and has Tulane gone up by 10? Maybe, but it's enough to keep me off the game. Again, Tulane's played the number 166 schedule. There's only 131 FBS teams. So, yes, the Kansas State game looks good, but the other three foes are stat patters. I will bring this up. Tulane's been a very clean team. They did get sacked 4 times, but the defense is playing so sound. The defense has played 278 snaps this year. There has not been a defensive penalty called against them, accepted against them. One's been called and it was washed away. But 278 plays, not one accepted penalty. When you're not giving up penalty yards on defense, you have a defense that can hold teams to 3.2 yards per carry. I'm certainly going to lean that way. I do lean under 27.5 first half. It's not a best bet, but Houston's defense likes to gamble. They're number 16 in TFLs, but they're in the 90s as far as yards per play go. They either try to get a sack or they get burned in that sack. I think the first half's a feeling out game, and I will give an opinion on 27.5 under. It is not a play or a best bet, just a lean for the show.
All right, leaning that way. I mean, Dave, I guess maybe not uncommon. Week 5, teams quitting on their coach here. Is it enough to make you want to look at Tulane, or is it a pass altogether for you?
Total pass. Not getting value in Tulane. Don't want any part of Houston. Part of my routine is just to eliminate games immediately. And that's what I did on this one. Circo in Houston 5 got hammered down to 2.5. So you're just taking the worst of it if you bet Tulane. And good luck to you if you want to bet this Houston team. Not with my money.
Yeah, and there will be spots, guys, I'm sure, where there might be an opportunity in the next couple of weeks here to continue to fade this Houston team. But the value not there right now, and maybe, just maybe, there's some value in game number 2 here that we're going to break down today. And this one also early in the week as the Bruins welcoming in, look at that, look at Kendall Washington. 3 is what they're a favorite at. Total of 66, and I think that's the amount of people that might actually be at this game. I'm only kidding. Washington has been pretty impressive, Dave, to say the least here. Do you think it continues against these UCLA Bruins?
I don't know. Washington is playing really good football. The new coach, has done I'm blanking on his name. But he's done a great job.
Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, DeBoer. But he couldn't help but be an improvement over Lake, who was a train wreck. Here's the tough part. And Washington has played extremely well so far. But all those games were at home. Now they have to go on the road. I know UCLA doesn't have a great home field advantage, but it's still a road game. And UCLA might be a little better than they're being regarded right now. There's certain things UCLA is doing that I like. One is that they're running the ball extremely well. Charbonneau's a nice back, and he's healthy again. And they're defensing the run very well. So they might force Washington into being a little more pass happy than they want to be. I don't like going against teams and laying points to teams that have the good rushing stats dynamic. So I don't think I'm going to play UCLA because Washington actually has some of the same dynamics statistically in their profile that UCLA does. I think this is going to be a close game. I'm not comfortable with laying points with Washington. I'm not really convinced that UCLA is as good as their record. This is going to be a learning game for me. If I had to bet it, I think I'd take the Bruins plus the points, maybe lean to the under because I think both teams are going to try to establish the run. But there's better games out there for me this week.
Sir, he's right. I mean, it feels like a big test here, Ralph, really for both of these teams. These Pac-12 Friday night games tend to be a little tricky here. How are you looking at this one with Washington and UCLA?
Well, I'm a DeBoer fan as well. And you think this Washington offense, first-year head coach, transfer quarterback, why are they so successful, averaging 531 yards per game? Well, let me remind you of this. DeBoer was an absolute genius as the OC of Fresno State. He was also the OC at Indiana with Penix as the quarterback. So he did not change the system at all. So Penix and DeBoer are together for the second time after being an IU and the Hoosiers with the same type of offense. That's part of the reason the offense has clicked so well. But I don't trust Washington on the road as a favorite. UCLA has done nothing wrong. Yeah, they played an incredibly weak schedule. Yeah, they won their last 3 games last year against weak competition, sans maybe the USC game. But they still have won 7 straight games. That's the 3rd straight longest streak in college football, behind Clemson and Kentucky. They've covered all of those games but one. You do have a quarterback in DTR who's a top 5 quarterback as far as completion percentage is made. Your O-line's been clean the last 3 games, again, against very weak competition. And your D did show some pressure against Colorado. So I lean UCLA in the game, but again, another game that's not making my card. And as far as the total goes, it seems easy to say offense, it's going to be over. But Dave said something about running the ball and being conservative. And I often see that when you have the first big conference game. Yeah, Washington played Stanford last week and UCLA played Colorado, but both of those were significant favorites. We now have a game, within a touchdown where the teams tend to feel each other out early and try to be conservative, set the line of scrimmages and run the ball. So lean first half under in this one as well.
All right, looking for a little under in this. Tony Mejia, what do you think here of Friday night Pac-12 action? Is Washington as good as advertised, or you don't trust them just yet?
Well, I think your joke earlier it really ties into this game because you think people are going to brave rush hour traffic in LA to get to the Rose Bowl to cheer on UCLA against Washington. I don't. I mean, we haven't seen that, so that mitigates any home field advantage that they have, and that's really my worry with Washington. As Cokin said, they haven't been on the road yet, and it's a new coaching staff, a lot of new players in terms of transfers. Wayne Talapapa, one of the top running backs, came over from Virginia. They got the kid out of Jalen Pope from Texas Tech. So it's kind of like a team that's been built out of spare parts that are really coming together and really took to playing well at home. And now it's on Michael Penix to rally them around by playing extremely well on the road. And I think he can. And I think he looks rejuvenated under DeBoer. Clearly, he's not thinking out there. He's just making plays instinctively. That's what you have to do to be successful. And he's been absolutely tremendous. Washington, 5th in the nation, 530 yards per game, 12th in scoring, 44 yards per game, 44 points per game. And they've done it against some decent teams. I mean, they beat Michigan State, who's got a decent defense. They beat the daylights out of Stanford. And UCLA, the one game that they had with anybody even close to their level, South Alabama led them in the fourth quarter. So I absolutely don't trust the Bruins whatsoever. They've got a first-time defensive coordinator, and this will be their toughest test on the defensive end. Polk, Jalen McMillan, their leading receiver from last year, Rome Odunze, who was everywhere the other night against Stanford. That's a tremendous receiving core. I think Penix will get them going. I like Washington. I think they're rightfully favored. I would love them in the first half, considering Washington's done a lot of damage in that first half. But again, getting acclimated to the road kind of scares me. Money line a little too steep, minus 150. So if you're going to bet this game, just lay the 3 and hope that Washington's success at Husky Stadium translates to Pasadena.
Yep. All right, going to be an interesting one on Friday, and then of course we've got wouldn't be a Tuesday here in the college football kickoff show if we didn't talk a little Big Ten action and Michigan taking on Iowa. In Iowa, we're seeing 10.5s for Michigan, also seeing 42s, and boy, oh boy, we know Iowa. We know they have the nation's #1 scoring defense. I don't know about that offense, Ralph. What do you think? They got to figure out ways to score against Michigan. Can't just be the defense. What do you think we get here, Ralph?
Well, yeah, you have the #1 scoring defense, but you've played an Iowa State offense that's number 76, a Rutgers offense that's number 97, and a Nevada offense that's number 123. And then you have the worst offense in football at number 131. So it's simple for me. What do I think this Michigan offense can score against Iowa? I think this offense, yeah, they only got 34 against Maryland, but, they did put up 463 yards. I think they can get to 30. Do I think Iowa can get to 20? Hell no. I just don't. You're averaging 233 yards per game. 2 of your touchdowns came on non-offensive touchdowns last week against Rutgers, and you put up 27 against Nevada with only 337 yards. So when I break down the game, what I think Michigan's offense can score against the defense, what I think Iowa's offense can score against Michigan's defense, it clearly has me on the Michigan Wolverines minus the points.
What do you think, Dave? Anything from Iowa here over the last couple of weeks lends you to think they can score with Michigan, or no?
No. The quarterback can't play. I don't know that they're ever going to get a decent quarterback as long as they've got this mindset. If you're a skill position player and you go to Iowa, you're crazy. Okay? You're not going to get highlighted there. No. If you're a tight end, maybe. But they're just not getting the athletes at the other positions because they play the most boring football in the country. And if Michigan gets out in front, I don't know how Iowa stays in the game. They've got a chance to keep it close early. I mean, the defense is outstanding. They're going to shut down the run in all likelihood and force Michigan to throw the ball. Michigan can throw the ball, though. I just don't see how Iowa stays with them for 60 minutes. And eventually, I would expect Michigan to pull away in this game.
It's gonna be interesting, Mejia, isn't it? I mean, did you look at the under right away?
That's Joe. It's not going to be interesting. That's the problem with Iowa football. It's not interesting. It sucks. Okay, there's nothing more boring in college football than Iowa. I wish Ferentz would retire.
Yeah.
Okay, because he wins too many games to get fired. But I mean, he is playing He's not playing 1990s football. He's playing 1890s football. It's painful to watch that team.
It's hard to believe. Transfer portal and all here, Mejia, and couldn't get a quarterback to come to Iowa. Shock. He got all his position, all his skill guys left, but couldn't seem to convince anybody to come and play quarterback at Iowa. Does it bite him? Is this the game where Iowa gets exposed? There's usually one right around this time of year for Iowa where the defense just can't save the day.
I mean, transfer portal bit him because his best receivers went to Purdue because they wanted to catch the ball. So from that standpoint, yeah, not great. And I'll give Dave something interesting to watch out of this game. It's Michigan and whether we should believe in them or not, because they played about the 3 softest opponents you could possibly play to start the season: Colorado State, Hawaii, UConn. That they destroyed them is not impressive based on what we've seen from all 3 teams. Out of the 3, UConn looks the best. So kudos to Jim Moore Jr. Maryland did test them. Tagovailoa played okay, and their receivers, which they do have excellent skill players at Maryland in terms of at the wideout spots, did help put up 27 points. You don't have to worry about that with Iowa. So I want to see J.J. McCarthy pass the ball. I want to see this defense show up better than they did against the Terps and shut down Petrus. And look, we saw Rutgers, those people who had the unfortunate, who made the unfortunate decision to go with the under 33.5 against Rutgers the other night. We're seeing a kid light up Iowa in garbage time to get that over. So, and Iowa still had starters in. So the spread's right. I don't know that I want to lay it because I'm not sure about the Michigan killer instinct just yet. So this is probably going to be a stay away game for me. But that's the interesting part, is whether Jim Harbaugh's Wolverines are ready to annihilate Iowa the way they did in the Big Ten Championship last year, 41-3, and then move on to the next. They've got Penn State mid-October. That's the game that everybody has circled at home. Next 2 weeks, take care of business at Iowa and Indiana, please.
Yeah, feels like we've been here before with these 2 teams. But there you got it, guys. There it is, 3 games on the card. Number of games, like you said, a couple on Thursday, a couple on Friday, and then a full slate of Week 5 games on Saturday. And don't forget, if you head over to WagerTalk.com right now, you heard Dave mention he does have a 5% already. He's got a future bet up there with the NHL. That's just around the corner. Plus, he's got a 3-pack of games already booked. $19. Guys, do yourself a favor. The 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all-access packages is the way to go. You get them all, and you don't have to wait for them. Do that now. Visit Dave Cokin. Ralph Michaels is ready to go, and nobody has been crushing college football totals like Tony Mejia. Visit all 3 of these guys today and look at those 3-day, 7-day, and 30-day all-access packages, and you never got to worry about not getting the best of the number, guys. Head over there today. All right, guys, let's check it out. It is best bet time, whether it be any of these games or anything that you want to throw out. You may be leaning towards a little bit more than the rest. Mejia, we'll come back to you. Tell us, what are you looking at?
I didn't realize we had carte blanche, so I guess I'll stick with one of the games that we played with here on the show, and it's that Tulane-Houston game on Friday night. Again, with their top edge rusher out and their top free safety out, Houston's going to have to win this game in a shootout. And I don't think they'll necessarily quit because they do have weapons. Tank Dell, again, in the return game, he's a problem. So they'll probably have 1 or 2 possessions where they start in Tulane territory. Clayton Tune can, he's effective in keeping drives alive. So I think they'll be able to score on Tulane. Michael Pratt kicking himself still over that game-changing pick 6 against Southern Miss. He's been impressive since the moment he walked on Tulane's campus. Really like that kid. So I like points. I think Tulane wins, but I think we'll get a wild second half. Give me the over. I think it's too low.
All right, looking at the over in that one. And Ralph Michaels, talk to us. Which game here are you leaning towards a little more than the rest?
Joe, I used Michigan as my best bet, and I'm just gonna go back and watch. I don't need to reiterate why. But I do want to mention the special available at WagerTalk for every handicapper. It's on all the home pages now. It's the rest of the year through December 31st for under $7 a day. That's 14 weeks of college football, 14 weeks of NFL, MLB through the World Series, 11 weeks of NHL, 10 weeks of NBA, 7 weeks of college basketball, $6.49, any capper you choose. Head to their homepage now and get every play they release now through December 31st.
Love it. All right, Michigan it is for Ralph and Dave. What are you thinking, man? You got any of these games, any game you're leaning towards a little more than the rest?
Well, we talked about Michigan, Iowa. Let's talk about Iowa West.
Woo!
also known as San Diego State. If Iowa and San Diego State were to play, it might be the worst football game of all time. But San Diego State could be a live dog this week. Boise, they got problems. The offensive coordinator, gone. Dirk Cutter's going to take over. The quarterback, who's looked like he was going to be a star as a freshman, got a lot of injuries, never really came back to that level. He transferred out after the weekend's game. So now you've got Green, who is Green. Okay, he's very inexperienced. I think he's going to be, in the long run, I think he's got a chance to be a good quarterback. He's dual threat, definitely athletic, big kid, got a pretty strong arm. But, and while I poke fun at San Diego State because they're not much fun to watch. They play defense and field position and grind out wins. They do play some really good defense. And for a first-time starting quarterback with what is now a new offensive coordinator, that's just not a good way to break in. And the problems with Boise might go deeper. I think this could be a tip of the iceberg. I think your head coach, even though he's only in his second year, is already in the hot seat there. Because the natives in Boise are not very happy right now. And that's been a program that's been extremely well supported over the years. And they've kind of lost that edge that Boise's had for so long. As really, you could argue, the best group of five, the best non-Power 5 conference team in the country. They're not that anymore. I think they're in trouble here. San Diego State is the type of team that can make life miserable for a first-time starting quarterback. I like the Aztecs to get the upset in Boise on Friday.
All right, blue tarp and all, guys. The upset is a coming. Dave likes San Diego State there. We've got Tony Mejia on the over with Tulane and Houston, and Ralph says give them Michigan and lay the 10.5 over Iowa. And you guys heard Ralph mention, of course, that great deal right now, right through the end of the year. Great opportunity. Just visit their home pages and never miss a beat on all of the sports, including college football, NFL, hockey's coming up, college hoops will be here, the NBA. I mean, you name it, guys. There is
World
something
Cup,
for
baby, World
everybody.
Cup.
World Cup coming up. PGA Tour is back. Roll it, guys. There's no better way right now. Get every one of those plays right through the end of the year, guys. Just visit their pages. Take advantage of that for just over, what, $7 a day? I mean, crazy stuff there, guys, at WagerTalk.com. All right, on behalf of Tony Mejia, Ralph Michaels, and Dave Cokin, guys, we appreciate you hanging with us. Just getting started on this Week 5 breakdown. We'll be back again tomorrow. Make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, download the brand new WagerTalk app on your smartphone, smart TV. Be smart, download it, and never miss any of the content that WagerTalk TV puts out. We'll be back again tomorrow. Until then, on behalf of the fellas, we appreciate it, guys. Best of luck with your plays tonight. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.